So the next thing we're going to talk about is what we'll call just DNS filtering. Um, there is a service out there called openDNS, and you can go to opendns.com. Now, before I start talking about openDNS, I just want to say that openDNS is free. This is something that whether you're at CenturyLink or Cable One or what kind of modem you have, you should try to get this enabled on your network. It is a free service to help you filter the type of content that you want out of your home. Um, and this is, I know for some people that don't like dealing with their routers or any of this technology stuff, this can seem daunting, but it's really not that bad. Um, so the general idea is that there's this service. It's called OpenDNS. And what DNS, when you hear that word DNS, think of DNS as like a big phone book with addresses. When you get on the internet and you go to a web page or a website, it's at a particular address. Now, how you get to that address is you type that URL. You go to google.com. Well, when you type google.com into a web browser, it has to find what you want. It's looking up an address. Um, and so there's all these services, these DNS services that are just these banks of addresses. So you type in google.com, it goes to a DNS lookup. In the DNS lookup, it says, "Oh, you asked for google.com. I know where that is. It's over here." So then it returns to your browser where that address leads and gets you there. Now, if we filter at this level, what we're saying is if a child types in porn.com, then it will go out to this address lookup, a DNS lookup, and it will say, if we use OpenDNS, it will say, "Oh, you've asked for no pornography sites through this web browser, the internet connection you have in your home. So we're going to block it." So this is not blocking it at the computer. It's not blocking it at the router. It's blocking it when the internet goes out and tries to find the stuff you're looking for at the DNS level. And again, some of you might not be interested in that concept. Some of you may be. There's a website out there called How DNS Works, and it explains it a little bit more. But I'm gonna try and slow down a little bit here and walk through this, not how I use this because I'm a user already, but how you would kind of get into this if you were just starting. So the first thing that you've got to figure out, and a lot of people know this and some people don't. Let's say, for example, you have a router. I'm going to use mine. It's the simplest. Let's say your router is ASUS. Now, what we have to do is figure out in your network the IP address of your router. And quite honestly, you can probably Google all of the ones you guys own. So I'm just going to say ASUS router IP address. And so what comes up is you'll see a lot of results, but likely just read through a couple of them, and eventually you're going to see this thing that says IP address. And it's a bunch of numbers, and we're going to copy it. And then we're going to put it in this URL bar in a browser. And what this does is I'm actually logged into my router, but I want you guys to see what it looks like when you're not. I put this in for the first time, and you're in your network in a browser, and now you're at the software that's on your router. And this is the software that's on my ASUS router that I showed you guys earlier. Now, a lot of you guys may have never done this. You have no idea what the password is. All sorts of roadblocks can happen here. Hopefully you guys maybe have the password, username and password, and you just didn't ever know how to get here with your IP address. But say you have, I don't know, a Netgear IP address. These are default addresses, and they're kind of common too, right? So here's Netgear's default, so you'd put that into your browser. Eventually, the goal would be is that you'd get to the software, an IP address that's your router, and this is the software on your router. Now, the other thing is, and I think a lot of people don't even realize they can do this, and what happens is they just all this is default. And so, believe it or not, if you don't know the login to this and you type in ASUS default password or login, you'll also find that on the internet. So most of them are admin. So before you go searching for where you wrote this down or try to remember it or think if you've ever set this up, you just try the default. Now, if you don't know the login to your router, it's not admin or whatever you look up, whether you look up a Linksys or a Netgear, at some point, if you can't figure it out, then you're going to have to reset your router. Come talk to me in some capacity, and I could probably help you through that. Obviously, this is not very secure. If you've left your username and password as the default, and a lot of people do this, this is not very secure. Eventually, your kids will figure this out. Is another good reason for you to change this username and password. So, I'm kind of setting this up because in order to get the openDNS working, you need this information. You need the IP address that your router's at. You need to be able to log into it. Okay, so I have that information. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to jump back over here, openDNS. I'm going to click on this personal. And this is just this provides some parenting controls at the DNS level. It's just a home security type thing. You're just reconfiguring your router to use openDNS. And you go to opendns.com, you click on home internet security, like I did personally. This is what I'm looking for: home DNS, family shield free. I click on setup guide. It asks me to make some decisions here. There's a lot of different ways you can set this up. Likely the choice you're going to want is you're going to want to do it from the router. So I click on this home routers, and of course it says recommended. And then it takes me here, and it's this is a list of a bunch of different routers. You can actually search it. So I'm just going to type my router in, name, you might type yours in. I'm going to be looking for somewhat of a generic setup here. This one actually looks like it's updated, more similar to my software. So you can kind of read through this and do whatever you feel comfortable with reading this, or just literally looking at it. But now I've kind of got the instructions for what I need to do. So I'm going to jump back over here to my router. What I'm doing right now, this is a password manager. If you don't have a password manager, I recommend everybody immediately go out and start researching a password manager. I use 1Password. I keep all my passwords everywhere I use them, locked down. Okay, so now I'm logged into my router, and just like that picture showed, for me, I'm gonna jump down to WAN here, just like the picture showed. I'm gonna open this WAN DNS setting up. I am just gonna grab these two numbers. Grab this one. I'm going to enter those, and then I'm going to click apply. And what's going to happen is your router is going to update. Might look like it reloads, and now we're using openDNS. So we're going to click back over to the openDNS page. We're just going to reload this page really quick and see where it says click here to test your settings. We just want to make sure it says successful. So now you're using openDNS. Now that it's set up in your router, the next thing we want to do is log in and sort of connect your network to this account. So again, I've already got a login here. Oh, well, maybe I don't. Already have a login here. So this is one of the advantages of using a password manager is you can always kind of remember these passwords. All right. So now I'm logged in to my openDNS, and this is controlling my network. And there's ways that it knows, because you're accessing this account through your internet connection, and you just set openDNS up. It connects these together. I won't get into more technical detail than that, but now I can start controlling basically things I want to filter from coming into my network at the DNS level. Again, this is all free. I do happen, I mean, I pay for the, when you look at my login screen, let's find the login here really quick. I believe it's dashboard. Okay, so now I'm back at my dashboard, but what I wanted to show you is that there's an actual service that you can buy that's $19 a year. And this just allows you some more configurations, allows you to see a little bit more data about your network. You don't have to pay it, but I do. There's a couple of things more you get out of it. And you can go here and look, retain the past year stats, restrict internet access, whitelist domains. There's just some more configuration that you can do if you pay the $19 a month. It's this openDNS VNP. So anyhow, so now we're back at my openDNS account. Again, you'll create your own account, and you can see here for my home network, I have web content filtering. This is where I've set up a custom filter, and I've selected all of the categories that I want to start filtering. And you can set up your own. You can use these default. I'll let you go and spend some of your own time looking at some of the other features of this software, but this is the general gist of it. This is the start of filtering content that's coming into your network. And of course, OpenDNS, there's so many tutorials about this. You could probably find 1,000 videos if you start looking about how to set this up on your own network. OpenDNS has a lot of good articles about it, but generally this is all there is to it, and this is OpenDNS.